Good evening, gentlemen. I am Paula Collard, Publishing Director for GLC Gulf Leaders Circle. It is my honor to welcome you here today as a moderator at the very first roundtable by Gulf Leaders Circle. As you're already familiar, Gulf Leaders Circle is an exclusive premium business offering from Muscat Media Group. Our vision is to create a knowledge database about businesses by reviewing the industry leaders' insights and decision makers, as well as to enable closer connections amongst GCC businesses through roundtables, conferences, and symposiums. That will contribute to strengthen the relationship amongst the Gulf countries in Oman. How does Omantel plan to contribute to the pillars of Vision 2040 and balance its growth strategy while creating new business opportunities in the sector?
Well, first of all, thank you for taking this initiative and putting together these great minds together. And I'm sure there will be more than one of these version of this roundtable. Well, definitely, as you have mentioned, technology is embedded in the Vision 2040. Omantel specifically, I will have to talk about our experience here. As far as alignment with Vision 2040, the pillars of people, society, environment are definitely embedded in our purpose as well as vision. However, we believe any advancement, any realization from technology will have to rely on establishing an ecosystem, indeed, maybe a collaborative ecosystem. Our approach has been actually following this ecosystem. First, focus on the foundation. And here, specifically, since we are in the telecom sector, it is very important to have the right infrastructure in the country and an advanced infrastructure as far as technology is concerned. So that addresses the accessibility of various technology platforms to both citizens as well the enterprise and the government. The second most important pillar is, of course, is people. And building capacity is extremely important to make sure that this ecosystem is as effective as possible. The third pillar in this approach is investment in companies that are basically major players in the ecosystem. An example is ODB, Engineer Maqbool is sitting here, but there are many other investments that Omantel has taken in the last 5 years. Future City, which is focused in IT business, blockchain company, business process outsourcing, and the likes. The third pillar is a focus in what you mentioned specifically SMEs. Yes. And we believe in technology, startups, and creating the right innovative ecosystem is definitely important. Omantel Labs plays a role in accelerating the startups in various technological spaces. And we have run 2 cohorts so far. We are very proud that many of these companies have graduated successfully. Some still finding their way. The fourth pillar is definitely academia. And maybe this pillar is linked to the capacity building and the people pillar. But it's very important that we work right from the beginning, building the right curriculums in schools, making sure that sufficient R&D activities are taking place within universities. And finally, it's very important that you have the right regulatory and legal framework that is basically within that ecosystem, because you cannot really advance the agenda of technology and technology advancement without having that right regulatory as well legal framework.
Definitely, it is very important, and also including the project that Omantel announced last year, FinTech Accelerator Program. It is in collaboration with CBO, which targets promising high potential local startups with technology support, digital lending solutions that would accelerate the growth of Oman's financial sector. So, as the project is almost in its final stage, may you please review the interest of the participants in this project?
This is a great example of that ecosystem that I was talking about earlier. The Central Bank of Oman have taken an approach of having a sandbox within the central bank to look at the learning and advancing the learning curve as far as the fintech space is concerned. Of course, there was a focus on tech startups in this field, and we are very much honored to host this version of the central bank startups and sandbox. The experience has been more than amazing, I have to say. Many of these startups have basically leveraged a network with other startups that are in the Omantel labs. They have definitely looked at the space in which there are many opportunities, I have to say, that they can leverage. But fintech specifically, it's one of these emerging, if you will, services that can enhance the digital economy of Oman. One part of it is the likes of the sandbox that CBO have adapted, but it's very important that you also have the right collaborative and venues with the rest of the banking sector. I am a believer that fintech will not replace the banking sector completely. It will target specific segments that are underserved in the market. It will definitely probably focus more on enhancing experiences, but it definitely does not have the impact of eliminating a sector. And I take example from some of the advanced economies where fintech have taken many steps ahead of what we have here. The banking sector remains to be surviving and flourishing in some countries. So that collaboration is very important. Also, accessibility to talents is extremely important. Well, I believe that although while the academia is preparing our youth and young people to take active part in this advancement, it's very important that the economy is also attractive to talents even from outside of the borders of Oman. I cannot emphasize enough on the role that regulation has and the need to continuously review the laws around any pillar of this so-called 4IR. So it's very important that we are as agile as possible, like we are taking risks in establishing companies, investing in startups. I think it's very important to take, let me say, educated, risk approach when it comes to regulation. And it's very important to free up some space for companies of various sizes to try and from that we hopefully will have a better learning curve. And as we go, we can look again at the regulation and laws that enhances effectively this ecosystem.
In terms of digital banking and the connection between the both sectors, what do you think is the most important in the strategy for banking? And Bank Nizma is also an Islamic bank. So what is the strategy to follow to keep positioning itself in the market while balancing your growth strategy?
So thank you for the invitation, Paula. it is very important element. The strategy is a very important element for any organization. Now, looking at these statistics, before we jump into the strategy, if you see the global payment is expected to grow towards 11 trillion. And then you see the AI interactions are going to control almost 95% interactions in the banking sector will be controlled or powered by AI. And fintech market is expected to grow around 300 billion USD billion, hopefully within 3 years. So looking at these digital initiatives, what we think is we need to introduce an enhanced digital products and services which are powered by digital platforms in order to cater to the demands of our customers and to give a frictionless and spontaneous and instant journey to the customers while they are performing their transactions. So all of these enhancements, what we are planning, banking sector is planning, needs to be available now on digital platforms. Now the expectation from customers are no longer to visit the branches. They want to be self-reliant. They want everything to be done in their app on their internet banking services. So creating a frictionless and instantaneous journey for the customer will definitely boost the business growth and the customer experience.
Well, digital transformation is, as a representative of banking sector here in Oman, what is your position regarding digital transformation and how ICT sector can support the development of digital banking as well as fintech?
Well, I think the user, as my colleague touched upon, the user interface and experience is very essential to be taken into consideration. And one aspect is the scalability and the resilience and the redundancy of these technologies are to be taken, of course, into consideration, along with the efficiency and the cybersecurity elements. Unless and until you have all these blended into the platform, I mean, you will be able to roll out different products and solutions in order to minimize the user journey and experience.
Fintech will never change the traditional banking, but it's another tool that might be used to improve the quality of our life. Mr. Tariq Alatik, you're the Chief Retail and Digital Banking in MBO. May you please tell us the success story of your client and the importance of fintech incubators in your company?
Thank you, Paula, for the invitation. I'm glad to be part of this very high caliber of people in this table. Banking is like any other business, which is highly dependent on what the customers want and to be able to cater to all the needs of the customers. From the experience that the whole industry faced after COVID, it became very evident that you will not be able to serve your customers until you have adopted technology and you're offering digital banking. And through our own digital banking means through which the customers can conduct banking. And obviously, this means that you have to have more and more collaboration and partnership with whoever can help you, complement you, achieve your objective, which is servicing the customers. We are quite open. We encourage the whole idea of having fintechs around us. We are in association with a number of them to work out some possibilities to work together. We really appreciate, the banking industry actually appreciates the steps taken by the telecommunication industry, especially Omantel, to help promote this excellent initiative. And like Sheikh Farah pointed out, Central Bank of Oman actually has a sandbox and it has set up certain areas where fintechs can focus their innovation on. And ideally, all those areas are supposed to help banks be able to service their customers in a much better way. So we have seen a number of innovation happening in terms of payments, which have been now adopted. There's a lot of partnership that is going on, and things are progressing quite well. But like I said, I think for the banks, we are heavily regulated, and maybe sometimes we are not able to be as innovative as the younger fintechs can be. As such, we welcome them and we encourage them to keep on innovating and keep on creating value for the banks.
Perfect. And regarding the operations, how do you think the appearance of fintech has influenced the traditional banking as well as digital banking in Oman and in MBO?
So if you go back like around 20, 25 years ago, you would realize that for anybody in Oman to do banking or to get basic services, essential services from a bank, they have to visit a branch. And if you look into the number of customers that we serve today and the amount of transactions that we have to process on a daily basis, definitely would not have relied on technology and digitalization, this would have been not possible. So one of the key reasons why we have been able to free capacity and increase our ability to service small customers with the existing infrastructure is reliance on technology and fintechs and whatnot. We have re-engineered most of our processes over the years, and that's why we service customers more. And we are on a continuous journey to automate as much as possible as well. So wherever we could re-engineer, wherever we could automate, we are doing that. We are in the process of using artificial intelligence and robotics to help us make better decisions so that we can increase the reach of banking and help the government with their main objective of having financial inclusion. And I believe firmly that with the use of technology and digital banking, the banks can definitely help the government to achieve its vision of financial inclusion and make banking like credit or processing of payments or collection all possible for a wider segment of public.
The data center security is a top priority for the sensitive data that are held in their data centers. And well, an example for that can be also the data to cloud, Mr. Asad Al-Saadi. Data to cloud recently announced a new data center in Muscat. How important is to have a centralized data center and how does it affect the quality of your services?
Thank you, Paula, for inviting me here to be part of this round discussion. Data to cloud is keen to play a prominent role when it comes to digital transformation in Oman and take into consideration the future vision of 2040, Oman 2040 goals and objective. We have noticed there is a high demand when it comes to data center services, cloud services, and digital solution services as well. We have taken the approach to make sure that we are ready and able to deliver what is the market is demanding at this stage. And part of our long-term strategy is to make sure that we are expanding when it comes to the data center available here in Oman, to make sure that we are geographically and zonal available. We are present and make sure at the same time that the standard of data centers that we are providing to the to our clients and the potential clients in the future is in line with the international standards, be it the security and be it the technology within the data centers. Also, the service level quality that we are providing. We know that it is a key differentiator when it comes to the type of service that you provided to the end users. So we always keep an eye and make sure that we are trying to cope up with whatever demanded in the market and whatever the high demanded industries like the financials and the energy industries are demanding at this stage. We know that, as mentioned by Engineer Maqbool, that the financial sector is actually, when it comes to the technology, is much more advanced than we as a provider of this. And we are trying to make sure that we are make sure that we are in line when it comes to the standard that they are implementing, especially in the security side. So that is always the consideration from D2C, data to cloud side, to make sure that we are present, and especially within these industries and financials and energy as well. On top of this, the type of services that we are providing and the solutions. We know the focus now more into the technology and how the industries can benefit from the technology in terms of cost optimization and in terms of the efficiency to deliver the end service. That's why we are building up a proper partnership with the leaders who are actually having the knowledge when it comes to provide the fintech solutions for the financial sectors and other sectors. And this is what we are aiming to introduce.
Definitely.
We are aiming to introduce within the coming, within the coming period, because we believe as a D2C that technology now is actually should be hand on hand on the financial side to make sure that the level of service and the customer experience is a priority. And this is what we are aiming to achieve. Yes.
Definitely. I think also these are the reason why D2C right now is also expanding. You are approaching many international clients. And right now you are also mentioning that you're also focusing on having more partnership in terms of financial sector. So please review what is the key to approach international clients as an Omani company, and if you can disclose the partnerships that you are looking for right now.
As I mentioned before, the service level is always the key. We are in a very kind of small market connected to each other. And the beauty of cloud, it is actually break the boundaries when it comes to serve the end customers and provide the service even within the region or on a global base. What we have done is just to make sure that our technology that we provided, be it the infrastructure or the other layers on top of the infrastructure, is actually matching the international standards.
Okay.
Yes. And we have come up with a kind of segregation when it comes to the clients itself. So we have different type of customer portfolio, be it the high demanded customer, the enterprise, and the mass market, which can adapt with the low technology kind of solutions. So this is what we are positioning. And recently we have gone to the region with the solutions which is demanded. We start with SaaS services because it's heavily demanded within the region itself. And there is a kind of flexibility when it comes to the regulation to provide these kind of things. We have a couple of clients outside Oman, and we are aiming actually to target within the other countries. And one of the things is that targeting the mass market, because always the mass market is not regulated within the country itself. So instead of having them actually going to the major player in the market, we are positioning ourselves to make sure that we are an option for them. And this is what we are doing, and it's part of our strategy as well.
So what kind of investment does IFCA aim to attract at the moment, and how can the ICT sector benefit from that?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this roundtable discussion. IFCA Group was created by the Oman Investment Fund to be their strategic investment arm in the ICT sector, where we mainly focus on the emerging technologies specifically and the enablers of such technologies. So our investment focus is mainly on emerging tech such as artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, smart cities, blockchain, data analytics and data science, as well as the enablers of such technologies such as cloud services and the data centers, of course, as well as cybersecurity, digital transformation, and other technologies. And IFCA plays in two main parts. One is the direct investments in the companies that are already in the growth phase, that companies that have shown already some sort of business tractions and they require some sort of injection to support their growth within Omani market and as well as to expand into the region and other markets as well. And the other kind of investment is the VC kind of investments where we updated our strategy to invest into VC funds for two main purposes. One is to support Omani startups as much as possible. We want to create as many startups in tech innovation as possible so that at a later stage, the group can come and invest directly into those startups. And secondly, to develop as many Omani fund managers as possible, which we believe these are two main important objectives. As for the benefits to the ICT sector, we believe that there are so many different benefits. One of them is that we're trying to address some of the key gaps in the ICT sector in Oman through investments, with strategic investments, because especially emerging technologies cannot work in isolation. We need to have the full and the right ecosystem here in Oman to maximize the potential of the ICT sector and to maximize its contribution to the GDP. So, for example, take AI, for example. AI itself requires high processing power, usually through cloud services, and then by default, data centers due to the data security and sovereignty laws. It requires as well data sharing policies. So, Shafala touched upon governance as well, data sharing policies and data privacy policies as well. And so it's a full ecosystem. So by addressing the key gaps in the ecosystem, we can realize the full potential of the ICT sector in Oman. That's one thing. The other thing, by these emerging tech are expected to lead the growth of the ICT sector in the next 10 years. They're actually the highest growing segment of the ICT sector, and the expected economic impact of these emerging tech, especially AI, IoTs, data science, and data analytics, is extremely huge. So, for example, AI is expected to add around $15 trillion to the global economy by 2030, and we want to have a piece of that as much as we can. And also, most importantly, by investing in this emerging tech, then by default, we are also enabling our talents to work in these niche technologies. And we do believe that Oman is positioned when it comes to the ICT talents very well. A big or a large percentage out of the graduates is ICT. It's actually among the highest in the world. And we are positioned, I think, very well to develop our talents to work on these niche technologies. And also, as I mentioned, one of the main reasons we invest in these emerging tech companies is to help them grow within the Omani market and also to expand to the regional market as well. So to increase the percentage of the exports of digital as well as technology products from Oman to the region and to the world. And finally, by investing in these emerging tech, then we are also supporting the economic diversification sectors, because these technologies will play an important and critical role to enable the growth of those sectors to achieve their Oman 2040 visions and targets.
Definitely. And IFCA Group also holds different segments companies from ITC sector. We can speak about software, hardware, fiber, as well as telecom towers. So what do you think should be the focus for the ICT industry to accelerate the digital transformation?
So as I mentioned, we are focused mainly on emerging technologies as well as the enablers of emerging tech. Because even internationally and even within Oman, according to the studies that we have also analyzed internally, emerging technology segment out of the ICT is expected to show the highest growth rate compared to the other ones. So if you take the Omani ICT sector, for example, it is expected to grow at around 6% from 2023 annually, to 2020 to 2030. Now, the emerging technologies, including also cloud and cybersecurity as well, are expected to grow 24%, which is the highest growing segment, and that's our focus mainly. So emerging technologies as well as the enablers, some of the key enablers of emerging tech, cybersecurity as well as cloud services. Now, to accelerate digital transformation, I think Sheikh Talal has touched upon the main critical elements. Of course, having the right leadership in each organization, because digital transformation is a business issue. It's never a technical issue. And it has to be addressed at a C-level or a board level. We call it a boardroom issue because it's like cybersecurity. It's a business issue. Having the right ICT infrastructure, the resilient, reliant, as well as efficient ICT infrastructure, connectivity, high-speed connectivity, cloud services, data centers, and other kind of infrastructure. And I think Oman is doing very great when it comes to the infrastructure. Support of the innovation system is extremely important, and we believe our investment in emerging tech is playing a critical element in the innovation ecosystem in Oman, because emerging technologies will enable organizations to come up perhaps with maybe new business models, and will allow also companies to introduce new business streams. So our investment in the emerging tech is supporting the innovation ecosystem directly and indirectly. Having the right regulatory environment that supports innovation as well as supports collaboration among different stakeholders is extremely important, and I think Sheikh Farhan mentioned that. The user experience, as it's extremely also important. Everyone now is looking for the right user experience, whether in the telecom sector, in the tourism sector. Having the right user experience that is seamless, efficient, is extremely also important and needs to be blended with the right foundation when it comes to cybersecurity, and I also mentioned the regulatory environment and the different investment instruments to support the startup ecosystem in any country, including Oman. I talked about direct investments, I talked about VC investment, but also there are other kind of investments like crowdfunding. And Oman is also, they have licensed a number of crowdfunding platform providers in Oman. So I think we have the key ingredients to really accelerate digital transformation.
It's a company that hosts the data of most of the banks of Oman in its data centers. And what technology do you use to ensure the security of the data held by ODP?
Thank you, Paula. Basically, we do sense the responsibility we have around hosting critical infrastructure of Oman. As you rightly said, we started with our first customer was actually a bank, and that had uplifted Oman Data Park to a scale that has to fulfill from both risk and compliance perspective, from scalability, from security as well. In the security aspect, of course, as we all know, there is the physical, the logical security, and there's also other layers in security. Being very close to the financial sector of Oman, we had to adhere to multiple security elements in order to comply with the risk and compliance of the banks and the central banks of Oman, and to make sure that everything hosted is safe and secure. And for that, we use the physical security layer. And the physical security, we have multiple layers of screening, attendees, and basically making sure that that does not actually impact any support or services that are provided. There are also other elements like the, smart CCTVs. There are also other elements that ensures the resiliency of accessibility to and from data halls and data centers. There is also the logical security, of course. We have multiple security elements. We know some of them, like firewalling, like doing all this penetration testing over the existing infrastructure to make sure that we are safe. Apart from that, Oman Data Park was also forced, actually, being close to the financial sector, was forced to form its own cybersecurity team division that does nothing except making sure that risk and compliance are very much adhered to, managed well, in addition to drill testing a lot of these security elements as per central banks and the banking sector regulation. I think finance sector are very much advanced in technology, and I have to admit that they are always in the forefront, to be honest with you, trying to deploy as many relevant technology as possible in order to maintain their agility, in order to maintain their performance, and in order to serve their customers the best way possible. We, as technology partners, we see ourselves enablers to their journey, supporters to their vision and digital transformation. We're trying to catch up with them as much as we can, actually, being close to the banking sector. It's a good and bad. It's a responsibility, as well as it's also a way of maintaining our pace with the financial sector. We, in the financial sector, as Tarek mentioned, they are very much visionary, actually, in order to deploy artificial intelligence, robotics, IoTs, and all the 4IR's components. And not only that, they are very much welcoming the idea, actually, to go into what we call an API-based environment where they connect themselves to multiple stakeholders outside the financial sector.
Okay.
So basically, you're seeing banks today connected to law enforcement, they're connected to other services outside the financial sector in order to give an end-to-end, let's say, experience or financial experience to customers and individuals, and minimizing, all the give and take that customers might had to do with other stakeholders. And that is where today we are seeing the financial sector are very much open towards API integration with our system, with outside systems outside the financial segment. Number two, they are also very much talking about the startup mentioned the digital banking. Digital banking is nothing but a set of digital components collaborating and connected to each other in order to serve customers in the best way possible and maintain an end-to-end journey, as I said. That is very much, let's say, a vision that Oman banks are carrying today. In addition to that, we are also, as Oman Data Park, very much connected to not only the banks, but then applications that serve the bank. So basically, we are talking to application vendors that we might invest with to host in a cloud format and serve the financial sector, making it easy for the financial sector actually to benefit from the economy of scale that such an initiative might have. So Oman Data Park, alongside with Mantel, as Sheikh Talal have mentioned, very much has this appetite of investment around making sure that the element of economy of scale is there in order to ease and to turn the equation from being purely capital investment from the financial sector side into OPEX. And that in itself not only provides you with a proper go-to-market or quick go-to-market aspect, but then it also maintain a good quality of service while you are actually having a moderate or maybe managed expenditure over a time span or a total cost of ownership of 5 to 10 years. So we are serving the financial sector directly, but then indirectly we are also investing on solutions that will serve the financial sector. A good example of that is the Arab Financial Services that we, together with Mantel, have actually collaboratively invested with in order to provide it to across the banking sector. E-signature is there as well. There is also we're talking today about the onboarding or the authentication over ID cards that will also is the customer experience with the financial sector digitally.
Digital transformation, as we said, is crucial for the future development of the ICT sector. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.